There comes a time in every thinking man's life when he must confront a truth so fierce, so unyielding, so devoid of flattery or excuse, that it burns through every illusion he has ever held about success, failure, fate, or fortune. And that truth is this: your life, every inch of it, every triumph and tragedy, every setback and surge is the result of your own thinking. Nothing more, nothing less. You are not the victim of circumstance. You are the architect of cause. And your mind, not your conditions, not your critics, not your childhood, is the master key. The man who understands this does not panic. He does not pout. He prepares. And he does not merely prepare by reading books or reciting empty affirmations. He prepares by mastering the fiercest battlefield on earth, the terrain between his two ears. He prepares by building mental discipline, by detaching from the poisonous influence of emotion, and by turning his mind into a finely tuned weapon, pointed not at others but at weakness, distraction, and the inner cowardice that whispers, "You can't." Understand this now, and understand it with every nerve in your being. The future does not belong to the clever, the connected, or the lucky. It belongs to the composed. It belongs to the man who controls his reaction when life tests his resolve. It belongs to the woman who does not negotiate with her excuses. It belongs to the one who has rewired the chaos of their thinking into the circuitry of success. This speech is not for the faint of heart. It is not for those who wish to be entertained. It is not for those addicted to comfort or applause. It is for the builder, the one who is tired of self-betrayal, the one who is ready to chisel his thoughts like a sculptor chisels stone until only discipline remains. I do not promise ease, I promise power, but only if you dare to command the first empire you were ever meant to rule, the empire of your own mind. Step 1. The law of mental neutrality. This is the first gate you must pass through if you are ever to experience personal mastery, and it is the gate most never find, because they are too busy reacting, flinching, emoting, and explaining. Mental neutrality is the ability to observe a thought, any thought, without becoming it. It is the power to remain calm in the presence of chaos, unmoved in the presence of pressure, and stable in the presence of stimulus. You were not taught this in school. No teacher gave you this gift. They handed you equations and dates and diagrams, but no one taught you how to stand still in the fire of feeling and say, "I choose my response." End of. And that is why most people live as prisoners of circumstance, dragged from joy to despair by the leash of every emotion that passes through their body. But hear me well, if you do not detach from your emotions will detach you from your destiny. A man who reacts is a man who forfeits command, and a man who forfeits command will never hold a position of power, not in business, not in relationships, not in the governance of his soul. Mental neutrality is not coldness. It is control. It is the training ground of kings. The man who detaches from the need to react, from the compulsion to be understood, from the addiction to validation, that man becomes dangerous. He becomes disciplined. He becomes free. Do you want freedom? Then practice neutrality. When someone offends you, pause. When a thought assaults you, observe. When fear tempts you to panic, breathe. This is not avoidance. This is mastery. The weak react. The strong respond. And the master watches his thoughts like a general watches a battlefield, not with panic, but with precision. Step 2, the power of deliberate thought. Understand this clearly: your mind is not your enemy. It is your instrument, but only when you direct it with intention. Left to its own devices, your mind is a wild horse, galloping toward fear, distraction, and weakness. But when you take the reins and aim it toward a definite aim, it becomes a chariot of fire. Most people think by accident. They let their environment choose their attitude. They let social media dictate their mood. They let the weather decide their level of ambition. And then they wonder why they're stuck. But a man who thinks deliberately is never stuck. He moves mountains with the force of a single decision, a decision to take control of his inner dialogue. Every thought you think is a seed. Plant worry and you will harvest paralysis. Plant envy and you will reap misery. But plant focus and you will grow power. Plant gratitude and you will produce resilience. Plant purpose and your life will become a harvest of destiny. You are not at the mercy of random thoughts. You are the author of them. And if you do not like the chapter you are in, pick up the pen. Rewrite the narrative. But do it with clarity, do it with focus, do it with intention. Autosuggestion is the tool of the disciplined. It is the deliberate act of training the subconscious with the language of success. Every morning you must feed your mind the mental diet of your future. Say it aloud. I am calm, I am in command, I am building something eternal. The subconscious cannot resist repetition. And if you are not planting power in your mind each day, weeds will grow in its place. Step 3, the cultivation of emotional detachment. The greatest lie ever sold to man was that his emotions are the truest expression of who he is. That is false. Your emotions are weather systems. They pass, they fluctuate, they distort. But who you are truly is not the storm. You are the observer behind the clouds. When you identify with emotion, you reduce yourself to the level of instinct. You react like an animal. You lose sight of the higher mind. But when you detach, you elevate, you transcend. You become the master of your mood rather than its puppet. Detach not because you do not feel, but because you refuse to be ruled. Anger may visit, but it will not speak for you. Fear may whisper, but it will not command you. Sadness may linger, but it will not stop your mission. This is power. Emotional detachment is the throne from which your higher self governs. When others beg for approval, you move in silence. When others beg for comfort, you move through difficulty. When others beg for understanding, you act from knowing. You must build this habit daily. When a mood grips you, label it, observe it, do not run, do not react, do not speak until you are centered. The one who detaches is the one who decides. Step 4, the discipline of personal initiative. There is no success without movement, and there is no movement without decision. You must become the one who acts, not the one who waits. You must become the one who initiates, not the one who hesitates. Every moment you wait for permission, you give away power. And every moment you act from your own center, you reclaim it. Initiative is the signature of leadership. It is the refusal to be idle. It is the defiance of the ordinary. It is the discipline to move even when no one else does, especially when no one else does. The man of initiative does not wait for motivation. He generates it. He does not seek energy. He becomes it. He does not hope for change. He embodies it. You must train yourself to act in the presence of doubt, to strike in the presence of fear, to speak in the presence of resistance. The path to discipline is paved in initiation, and the man who initiates dominates. Step 5, the principle of accurate thinking. Most people suffer not from failure, but from misjudgment. They think inaccurately. They exaggerate threats, minimize opportunity, and distort reality with emotion. But accurate thinking is the sword that slices through illusion. It is the foundation of wisdom. You must learn to separate fact from opinion, truth from assumption, cause from coincidence. This is not easy. It requires calmness, data, analysis, but without it, you will build your life on sand. The man who thinks accurately is not loud. He is not reactive. He is surgical, strategic, exact. He sees things as they are, not as he wishes them to be. And from this clarity, he builds unshakable empires. Ask yourself, is this belief based on evidence or emotion? Is this fear based on truth or trauma? Is this opinion serving my growth or sabotaging it? The thinker who questions himself with courage becomes a man others cannot manipulate. Accurate thinking requires detachment, it requires neutrality, it requires inner discipline. But it is the root of all power, for power cannot grow in the soil of illusion. And now, as this voice recedes and your own inner voice begins to grow louder, I leave you with one final truth, one final challenge, one final demand upon the highest part of your soul. You were born to command your mind, not to be dragged by it. You were built to dominate your thoughts, not to be drowned in their storms. You were not meant to serve your emotions, but to rule over them with the scepter of self-control and the throne of decision. If you can detach, you can see. If you can see, you can choose. If you can choose, you can act. And if you can act with discipline, focus, and fire, then nothing in this world can stop you. The world bows not to the loud, but to the composed. Not to the busy, but to the deliberate. Not to the emotional, but But to the disciplined, you are not broken. You are simply untrained. But now you have the map. Rewire your brain, build your discipline, control your inner world, and watch the outer world kneel before you. The world will test you, not with words, not with weapons, but with silence. It will not warn you when mediocrity creeps into your habits. It will not announce when your emotions begin to dictate your standards. It will not scream when you veer off the path of mastery. It will whisper. It will test you by making comfort feel earned. It will test you by disguising excuses as logic. It will test you by rewarding delay with temporary peace. But peace without discipline is the beginning of decay. You must hear the whisper, and you must reject it. Let us return to where power begins the mind. Your brain is not a storage unit for facts. It is not a museum of memories. It is a furnace, a tool, a command center. And most walk through life using it like a candle when they were handed lightning. To rewire your brain, you must first believe this. Your dominant thoughts become your dominant reality. Thought is not passive. It is a force, and repetition gives it gravity. If you think fear long enough, your nervous system will begin to collapse under its weight. If you think strength long enough, your spine will straighten and your actions will start to echo your belief. Do not underestimate the sacred science of repetition. Discipline does not come in a flash. It is forged. Repetition is the hammer. Thought is the fire. Action is the anvil. Now listen to me closely, for this will be one of the most important truths you will ever encounter. Every time you choose emotional detachment, you upgrade your operating system. You cease to run on the outdated, reactionary programming of survival and begin to operate from the logic, foresight, and strategy of creation. Emotional detachment is the bridge between animal instinct and divine intelligence. When a man is ruled by his feelings, he behaves like a puppet on strings, and those strings are pulled by other people's moods, opinions, likes, and disapproval. But the moment he severs those strings and attaches his mind to principle rather than perception, he becomes a sovereign being. So what does this rewiring truly look like? What does the disciplined life feel like? It feels like silence in the face of accusation. It feels like routine in the face of chaos. It feels like standing your ground while your emotions beg you to flee. It feels like saying no to the short-term pleasure that contradicts your long-term plan. And it feels like power, quiet, steady, non-negotiable power. Discipline is not a moment of greatness. It is a lifestyle of governance. Govern your mornings and your days will fall in line. Govern your diet and your energy will sharpen. Govern your reactions and your relationships will transform. Govern your self-talk and your identity will change. The untrained mind believes that discipline is restriction, but the wise know that discipline is liberation. It is the liberation from impulse, from distraction, from self-pity, from emotional slavery. The man without discipline is free only to destroy himself. The man with discipline is free to become anything. Now let us examine the deepest principle hidden within this entire philosophy, and it is this. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Your brain will always take the path of least resistance unless it is trained to do otherwise. So if your systems, your habits, routines, standards are weak, your results will betray you. You can have the most powerful vision in the world, but if you do not condition your mind to default to discipline, that vision will rot into fantasy. The strongest people are not those with the best feelings. They are those with the best frameworks. And what is the most powerful framework ever constructed for inner mastery? It is the idea that emotion is data, not direction. Let me say it again. Emotion is data, not direction. You are allowed to feel it, but you are not obligated to obey it. Just because you feel like quitting does not mean you should. Just because you feel tired does not mean you stop. Just because you feel fear does not mean you retreat. The disciplined mind listens to emotion, but answers to principle. This is the internal hierarchy of a master. Purpose sits on the throne. Principles stand as guards. Emotions serve as advisors, but they do not rule. Now you may ask, how do I install this in my daily life? You do not do it with inspiration. You do it with implementation. Begin each day with silence, not your phone, not the news, not noise, silence. 5 minutes. Sit, breathe, observe your mind. This is your training ground for detachment. This is the gym where the spiritual muscles are built. Then move. Physically, you must teach your body to obey. Movement is a form of mastery. When your body resists and you command it forward anyway, you are not just becoming fit, you are becoming sovereign. Then write. Every day, write your intention. Not once a month, not when you feel motivated. Every day. I am the master of my mood. I am the governor of my mind. I act from vision, not emotion. Speak it, ink it, burn it into your subconscious with ritual and repetition. Then act. One task, one decision, one move, no matter how small, that aligns with the future version of you. Do this every day, and you will watch your brain rewire itself in real time. Your thoughts will sharpen. Your emotions will bow. Your identity will evolve. And make no mistake, your identity is not fixed. You are not a slave to what you were yesterday. You are not the product of your pain. You are the product of what you practice. You are what you rehearse. You are what you reinforce. If you rehearse excuses, you will become exceptional at being average. If you rehearse power, you will become unshakable. If you rehearse detachment, you will become untouchable. And now we arrive at the furnace where greatness is forged, the ability to endure discomfort with composure. Hear me. This is the one skill that separates titans from spectators. The ability to be calm when it hurts, to smile when it burns, to move forward when the mind screams for retreat. This is where discipline ceases to be a concept and becomes character. Pain is not the enemy. Pain is the curriculum. Pain is the chisel that sculpts character from chaos. If you cannot endure discomfort, you cannot hold power, because power is heavy. Power requires restraint. Power demands you to see everything and still say nothing, to feel everything and still choose wisely. Embrace discomfort and you embrace transformation. Now look in the mirror of your own mind. Ask yourself the only question that matters: do I govern or do I obey? Because in every moment you are doing one or the other. There is no neutral state. If you are not commanding your mind, your emotions are commanding you. If you are not deciding your future, your fears are. If you are not moving with purpose, you are drifting by default. So choose. Choose now. Choose discipline or choose decay. Discipline will not feel good at first. It is bitter like medicine. But it heals. It sharpens. It awakens. Decay is sweet at first. It seduces. It flatters. But it rots, it rusts, it ruins. The path of mastery is not paved with comfort. It is carved with decision. And every decision you make rewires your brain either toward power or toward passivity. So I leave you with this. You are not a victim of wiring. You are the electrician. You are not a servant of emotion. You are the commander. You are not a creature of habit. You are the architect. You are not at the mercy of life. You are the author of it. So rise. Rise above reaction. Rise above feeling. Rise above fear. Speak to your mind as a master speaks to his army, with certainty, with clarity, with force. Say it now. I am no longer governed by feeling. I am governed by principle. I choose thought over impulse. I choose vision over emotion. I choose mastery over mediocrity. This is the code of the disciplined. Live it, or be broken by the alternative. Do not mistake awareness for mastery. Many people know they are reactive. Many know they procrastinate. Many are well read in the psychology of self-control. But knowledge without reprogramming is nothing more than self-aware slavery. So understand this. If you do not actively shape the content of your subconscious, it will be shaped by your past, by your environment, and by the emotional residues of moments you never processed. What is the tool of reprogramming? Repetition. Repetition is the mother of identity. And the disciplined man does not repeat distraction, he repeats domination. You must implant new truths daily, audibly, unapologetically, until they become the new soil in which your behavior grows. Not once, not when you feel like it, not when life is peaceful, every day. Like breath, like prayer, like training. Let the new language flood your system until your nervous system is electrified by principle. I do not wait for moods. I do not beg for permission. I am not here to be liked. I am here to build. I I am here to dominate my weakness. I am here to command the unseen forces of my own mind. Speak this aloud. Let your voice echo through your skull until doubt trembles and habits crumble. You are not reciting slogans, you are laying bricks in the construction of a new self. Now let us speak plainly about resistance, the dark, persistent force that meets you the moment you commit to change. Resistance is not the enemy. It is the invitation. It is the threshold. It is the test of sincerity. Everyone says they want discipline until it's time to sacrifice comfort. Everyone says they want clarity until it's time to walk alone. But you must understand, the moment you take control of your thinking, you will disturb every undisciplined part of your life. Friends will fall away. Comforts will scream. Habits will resist. But this is not a problem. This is proof. Proof that your old self is dying and a new self is being born. Do not mourn what leaves. Let it burn. Let it burn to the ground so something eternal can be built in its place. Your attachment to mediocrity is not emotional, it is neurological. And until you break the mental pathways that reinforce it, you will always return to what is easy, what is known, what is dead. So attack those neural pathways with fire, repetition, detachment, discipline. Demand of yourself higher standards, not tomorrow, not next month, but now. What you tolerate today becomes your prison tomorrow, and what you confront today becomes your power tomorrow. Let's get specific. Let us build a model you can live by. Discipline is not what you do when it's easy. It is what you do when no one is watching, when your feelings betray you, when the mood is gone and the mission remains. So ask yourself this, and ask it often. Am I doing what must be done, or am I doing what I feel like doing? The answer to that question determines your destiny. A man who obeys feeling is a leaf in the wind. A man who obeys principle is a pillar in the storm. Discipline is not heroic. It is habitual. And habits are not random. They are engineered. They are forged. They are installed not with intensity, but with consistency. So build the discipline of waking up when you say you will, training your body when your mind resists, saying no to what weakens you, sitting in silence until clarity returns, taking action even when no reward is visible. These are not tasks. These are rituals of self-respect. Most people chase goals. Few chase character. But character is what holds success once it arrives. Without it, even wealth will break you. Even status will undo you. Even victory will destroy you. You want to be unshakable? Then build character. And character is built through the fire of emotional control. Now, let us talk about the realm of time. Time is not kind. It is not forgiving. And it does not slow for those who delay. The undisciplined man treats time as an ocean endless. The disciplined man treats it as breath precious. If you cannot control your time, you cannot control your mind. And if you cannot control your mind, you will never control your future. Discipline begins with the calendar. Schedule your life, or your life will schedule you. Rise with order, or fall in chaos. There is no such thing as I didn't have time. There is only I didn't command it. A disciplined person guards his hours like a king guards his crown because he knows that every wasted second is a tax on his destiny. So plan the night before, act the morning after, review every evening. This cycle of intention, execution, reflection is the wheel of personal power. But you must guard it, because the world will beg for your attention. Notifications, distractions, invitations. But understand this, every yes to the world is a no to yourself. And you were not born to betray yourself for the comfort of others. You were born to build, to create, to rise, and that will require silence, solitude, and sacrifice. The undisciplined man runs from solitude. The disciplined man seeks it because in solitude he finds the voice of his true self. Now allow me to remind you of what is already within you. You do not need to be fixed. You need to be focused. You do not need more approval. You need more alignment. You do not need more motivation. You need more standards. You do not need a new life. You need to master your response to the one you already have. This is what separates the few from the many. The refusal to let emotion dictate effort. The refusal to let mood, govern movement. The refusal to be owned by the past or paralyzed by the unknown. Discipline is the gate. Emotional detachment is the key. And the mind, fully trained, fully wired, fully aimed, is the weapon. Aim it, use it, govern it. Say it again, louder this time, not to me, but to yourself. I am not here to feel safe. I am here to become sovereign. And sovereignty begins with your next decision. The decision to rise, to act, to feel and not flinch, to fall and not fold, to want and still wait, to burn and still build. You are no longer bound to reaction. You are no longer seduced by comfort. You are no longer enslaved by feeling. You are becoming the kind of person others cannot distract, cannot manipulate, cannot defeat. Because you are becoming one thing, disciplined. Now we enter the domain of self-governance, the invisible throne upon which every truly powerful man sits. For what is a disciplined life if not the consistent practice of self-legislation? You are not simply building a routine. You are establishing a constitution, a personal code, a system of laws that your mind obeys, whether the world agrees, applauds, or even notices. Because the undisciplined man waits for consequences to learn. The disciplined man creates his own consequences in advance. He does not need punishment to correct his course. His conscience is loud enough. His clarity is sharp enough. His standards are sacred enough. You must become your own lawmaker. And let me tell you something that no one dares say anymore. If you do not have strict laws for your mind, your emotions will write their own. If you do not demand silence each morning, chaos will demand your attention. If you do not command your time, others will schedule your demise. If you do not install focus, the world will install confusion. And if you do not govern your reactions, the weakness of others will dictate your fate. This is not philosophy. This is war, a quiet war, a war within, a war you either win in private or lose in public. So what are your laws? What do you refuse to tolerate from yourself? What behavior, what thought, what pattern is now punishable by immediate course correction? It is not enough to hope for change. You must enforce it. When your mind wanders, call it back. When your body resists, command it forward. When your emotions rebel, remind them they do not lead. You are the general. You are the judge. You are the governor of your internal republic. And when you take that responsibility fully, not half-heartedly, not in theory, but fully, you will discover a strange and wonderful power. The external world begins to align with the internal order you have forged. People respect the man who respects his own time. Opportunities flow to the one who disciplines his attention. Chaos flees from the one who radiates inner calm. This is not magic. This is structure, internal structure. Now, let us speak of perhaps the rarest quality of all, consistency. The world worships speed, but success bows to consistency. The world glamorizes hustle, but results reward rhythm. And the man who shows up again and again, especially when he doesn't feel like it, that man becomes unstoppable. Consistency is not built through emotion. It is built through covenant. You must make a sacred agreement with yourself. I will not break my word to me, no matter how loud my feelings scream. That is the oath of the elite, the inner elite, the 1% of thinkers, the disciplined few. And do not be fooled. You do not need $1 million to be elite. You need one thing: follow through. Finish what you start. Do what you say. Honor the schedule you set. Because every time you break a promise to yourself, you train your mind to believe you are not trustworthy. And the subconscious will not obey a commander it cannot trust. Rebuilding that trust is not done through inspiration. It is done through action. Quiet, steady, repeated action. Do it for one day, then again, and the mind, like a loyal soldier, will begin to march in step with your will. Now we must address the saboteur of all progress, emotional identity. If you say, "I've always been impulsive," you are right, because you just reinforced the identity. If you say, "I can't focus," you are correct, because you declared it as truth. But let me ask you this: who gave you the authority to define yourself in terms of weakness? Was it your past, your pain, your patterns? The disciplined mind knows this. You are not your patterns. You are your potential. And your potential is governed by only one thing: the quality of your decisions. So stop telling yourself who you've been. Start commanding who you are becoming. Say it now. Say it with force, with clarity, with the authority of one who has remembered his birthright. I am no longer bound by who I was. I am disciplined, focused, and in command. Say it again. Not because it's true, but because you are making it true. You do not recite affirmations to describe reality. You recite them to create it. This is the weapon of the wise. Auto-suggestion. Napoleon Hill taught it. The ancients practiced it. The winners live it. They do not merely act with discipline. They speak to themselves like warriors. And when a man speaks to himself with power, the world eventually echoes that power back. Now let us speak of one of the highest forms of discipline, the discipline to be misunderstood. Because when you choose mastery, when you choose inner strength, when you begin to prioritize purpose over popularity, you will confuse people. They will not understand your silence, your restraint, your standards, your refusal to react. And if you are still emotionally dependent on their approval, you will collapse. But the disciplined man does not beg for understanding. He does not explain his evolution. He does not need applause to stay the course. He simply keeps walking alone if necessary, misunderstood if required, focused no matter what. This is emotional detachment at its highest form, the refusal to be governed by others' expectations. When you no longer crave understanding, you become untouchable. Because the world cannot manipulate the man who does not flinch. This is your next step in discipline, not just to control your reactions, but to free yourself from the emotional leash of being liked. Now let us descend into the foundation of all lasting transformation, identity architecture. You can change your habits. You can change your schedule. But if you do not change how you see yourself, you will always return to the level of your self-image. This is why most transformations fail, because they are behavioral, not identity-based. But the disciplined few understand this secret. Every act of discipline is a vote for a new identity. When you train, when tired, you vote for, I am relentless. When you show up on time, you vote for, I am trustworthy. When you speak truthfully, you vote for, I am integrity. And the more votes you cast, the more your mind begins to believe it. So the question is not, what should I do? The question is, who must I become? Because once identity is upgraded, behavior becomes automatic. This is not motivation. This is architecture. Discipline becomes easy when it's who you are. Emotional detachment becomes natural when you see yourself as the observer, not the reactor. Mental strength becomes effortless when your subconscious expects it of you. But it all starts with one thing, your decision to never again betray yourself. Say it again. Say it like a vow carved in stone. I do not betray myself. I do not break my word. I do not follow emotion. I command my mind. That is the voice of a sovereign soul. That is the beginning of unshakable discipline. That is the path of the elite. That is the life of the builder. And you, yes, you were born to build. There comes a point in every serious thinker's life when the truth becomes inescapable. You are not the product of your past. You are the product of your present discipline. Your future is not waiting for you, it's responding to you. And every moment you delay, every emotion you obey, every excuse you entertain is not neutral. It is a withdrawal from your own destiny. Success is not mysterious. It is a system. And the first rule of that system is this: you must learn to govern your mind, or your emotions will govern you. Step 1, the law of mental neutrality. The strongest man is not the one who reacts quickest. It is the one who chooses not to react at all. Mental neutrality is not numbness, it is power. It is the choice to pause, to see clearly, to respond with reason. The one who can sit in the fire of chaos without being consumed by it, that is the one who leads. Step 2, the power of deliberate thought. Your thoughts are not passive, they are blueprints. Repeated thoughts are not just habits, they become identity. So if you want to build a disciplined life, you must flood your mind with focused, empowering self-command. Auto-suggestion is the daily ritual of feeding your subconscious new truth. Say it out loud. I do not follow my emotions, I command them. Step 3, emotional detachment. You are not your anger, you are not your fear. You are the observer of these things. The disciplined person uses emotion as information, not as instruction. Detachment is not disconnection, it is sovereignty. It is the refusal to let fleeting feelings sabotage permanent purpose. Step 4. The discipline of personal initiative. Discipline is not born from motivation, it is born from decision. You must become the kind of person who moves first, acts boldly, and finishes what they start regardless of mood, applause, or reward. Stop negotiating with your emotions. Start leading them. The disciplined act from purpose, not preference. Step 5. The principle of identity-based discipline. You will never outperform the way you see yourself. So stop calling yourself undisciplined. Stop clinging to old versions of you. Discipline is not something you do, it is someone you become. And every time you act with focus, integrity, or courage, you cast a vote for that new identity. Eventually, the votes add up and belief becomes reality. This is how you rewire your mind. Think deliberately, detach emotionally, act consistently, lead your identity, and govern yourself like a sovereign. Because no one is coming. No one is going to install the discipline for you. No one is going to silence your excuses. That is your job. That is your duty. Success is not a reward for the lucky. It is a consequence for the disciplined. Say it with conviction. I am the commander of my mind. I do not obey moods. I do not react. I lead. I act. I finish. Because the world bends not for the emotional, but for the consistent. And the man who masters his mind masters everything. Now go. Think with power. Act with precision. And build the discipline that will define your legacy.